Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. I'm Kerry. Today I'll be showing you how to crochet this motorbike. The motorbike was another request. When crocheted in 8-ply wool, this one, the size is 15 centimeters by 10 centimeters or 5 3/4 inches by 4 inches. When crocheted using 4-ply crochet cotton, these two, the size is 10.5 centimeters by 5 centimeters or 4 inches by 2 inches. I'll be using 8-ply wool today, which is light worsted in the US and double knit in the UK. I've got red, black and light and dark greys. I've got scissors, a 3mm crochet hook, a darning needle to weave in the ends, and thread and a needle to stitch it together. Now using my grey, I'll start on the inner wheels. So I start with a magic loop. For a magic loop, I put my hook on my yarn, bring the short end over the hook, and then take the long end over the short end to make a circle. Put the yarn around my hook and bring the hook with the yarn through the circle. And there's my magic loop. Then I start with 2 chain and work 15 double crochet into my circle. A double crochet is called a treble using UK terms. For a double crochet, put the yarn around your hook, hook into the circle through the front and bring back a loop. I've got 3 loops on my hook, then yarn around the hook and take the hook with this yarn at the end through 2 loops, put your yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 more loops. Now I need 14 more double crochet into my circle. Then I pull my circle tight. So I take hold of the tail and just ease the circle in as tight as I can. And I join the circle with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch. So I put my hook into the stitch, bring through a loop and take it straight through the loop on my hook. And that's the inner wheel. I fasten off and I'll need another one. So I make a magic loop, work 2 chain and work 15 double crochet into my circle. I pull the circle tight and slip stitch in the top of the first stitch and fasten off. Now I'll just weave in those ends so it will be easier for you to see when I'm adding the outer wheel. Now there's the two inner wheels. For the outer wheel, I join my yarn into the back loop only. So there's two loops for the stitch, so I'm just going to join in that back loop. I've got my black. And I work 2 chain, and then I work 2 double crochet into the back loop only of each stitch around. So 2 double crochet into the same stitch as my chain, and then working only into the back loop, we work 2 double crochet into each stitch right around our circle. We join with a slip stitch in the top of the first stitch and fasten off. Now I'll work around the other wheel and I'll weave in my ends, and then I'll be back with the red to do the mud guards. Now for the mud guards, we join our yarn in any stitch in the back loop only. I'd normally join a little bit after the join for the outer wheel. And we work 2 chain, and then we're going to work into the back loop only of each stitch. So I work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as a chain, then 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 2 double crochet into the following stitch 5 times. So 1 double crochet into the next stitch and then 2 double crochet into the following stitch. and we repeat that 4 more times. 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. One double crochet into the next stitch and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. One double crochet into the next stitch and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. And one more time. 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 2 into the following stitch. Then work 1 double crochet into the next stitch, work 2 chain and slip stitch into the same stitch as our last double crochet and fasten off. That's the first mudguard done. The second one's work the same. We join our yarn in the back loop only of any stitch and work 2 chain. Then work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as a chain. Then we work 1 double crochet into the next stitch and 2 double crochet into the following stitch. And repeat that 4 more times. Work 1 double crochet into the next stitch, work 2 chain and slip stitch in that same stitch as our last double crochet and fasten off. Now I'll just weave in the ends and then I'll be back with my black to work this seat part. Now for the seat, we only work on the back wheel, so we join our yarn in the 6th stitch from the back in the back loop only. So in there and work 2 chain. And we're only going to work in the back loop for each of our stitches again. So we work 1 double crochet in the same stitch as our chain. Into the next stitch we're going to work 2 treble, A treble is called a double treble using UK terms. For a treble, put the yarn around your hook twice, hook into the stitch and bring through a loop, yarn around the hook, take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn around the hook and take your hook with the yarn at the end through the remaining 2 loops. And we need one more treble into that same stitch. Now we're going to work 1 double crochet into each of the next 5 stitches. Now we work 2 half double crochet into the next stitch. A half double crochet is called a half treble using UK terms. For a half double crochet, put the yarn around the hook, hook into the stitch and bring through a loop. Yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through all the loops. And we need one more half double crochet in that same stitch and 1 half double crochet into the following stitch. Now we're starting on this end piece. We start with 4 chain and we're going to work a 3 treble cluster over the end of our half double crochet. So yarn around the hook twice, hook into the stitch and bring up a loop. Yarn around the hook, take your hook with the yarn through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn through 2 loops. We've got 2 loops left. Put the yarn around the hook twice, hook into the stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, take the hook with the yarn through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn through 2 loops. We've got 3 loops on our hook. Then put the yarn around the hook twice, hook into the stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take our hook with the yarn through 2 loops, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn through 2 more loops. We've got 4 loops left, and then put the yarn around the hook and take your hook with the yarn through all the loops and fasten off. And that's the seat part done. I'll weave in that end and then I'll be back with my red to do this part, and I'll also do the handlebar. Now for this piece at the end, we join our yarn just in the end of our black piece at the end of the seat. And work 3 chain. Then work 2 double crochet in that same stitch as the chain. For row 2, we start with 3 chain and turn our work and work 2 double crochet into each of our 2 stitches. For row 3, we start with 3 chain and we're going to work a joined double crochet over all our stitches. So we put the yarn around the hook, hook into our first stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn through 2 loops. Then we put the yarn around the hook, hook into the next stitch and bring up a loop. Yarn around the hook, take our hook with the yarn through 2 loops. We've got 3 loops. Then put the yarn around your hook, hook into the next stitch and bring up a loop. Yarn around the hook, take your hook with the yarn through 2 loops. We've now got 4 loops on our hook. Then put the yarn around the hook, hook into the last stitch and bring up a loop. Yarn around the hook, take your hook with the yarn through 2 loops, and then yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn through all the loops and fasten off. And that's the back part of the motorbike done. Now we'll start on the handlebar. We'll start on this little circle at the bottom. So with my grey, I make a magic loop and work 1 chain, and I'm going to work 6 single crochet into my circle. A single crochet is called a double crochet using UK terms. For a single crochet, put your hook into the circle and bring back a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn through the 2 loops. I need 5 more single crochet. Then I pull the circle tight and slip stitch in the top of the first stitch. And then I work 18 chain. So 18 chain. I miss the first chain and work 1 single crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. Then I work 3 single crochet into the next stitch. That's for that little bend there. And then I work 1 single crochet into each stitch to the end. Then slip stitch in the next single crochet on the circle and fasten off. And that's the handlebar done. Now for this light, we join our dark grey, or you could use a different colour if you prefer for your light, 2 stitches down from the bend. And then work 4 chain into that same stitch. We work 1 treble. For a treble you put your yarn around the hook twice before you start, and then work 2 double crochet into that same stitch. And fasten off. Now I'll weave in my ends and I'll be back with my light grey to do this frame part. Now I'll start on this frame piece now. I'm using my light grey yarn and I work 25 chain. I miss the first 3 chain and work 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 chain. So miss the first 3 and 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 chain. Then we're going to work a joined double crochet over the next 2 stitches. For a joined double crochet, put the yarn around the hook, hook into the first stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook and take the hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops. Then yarn around the hook, hook into the next stitch and bring up a loop, yarn around the hook, hook with the yarn at the end through 2 loops, yarn at the end and your hook with the yarn through the remaining 3 loops. Then work 1 double crochet into each of the next 6 stitches. Now we work 4 double crochet into the next stitch. That's for this bend here. So 4 double crochet into the next stitch. Then work 1 double crochet into each stitch to the last stitch. and work 1 double crochet and 1 treble into the last stitch. And fasten off. And that's the frame part. Now I've got a light brown section in behind the wheel and the frame and the seat. I'll be using dark grey for it this time. So I start with 9 chain. I miss the first 2 chain and work 1 half double crochet into each stitch to the end. For row 2, we work 2 chain and turn and work 1 half double crochet into each stitch to the end. And for row 3, we start with 2 chain and turn and work 1 half double crochet into each stitch to the end. And we fasten off. Now that's all the pieces crocheted. I'll just weave in the rest of the ends and I'll be back and we'll put it together. Now there's all my pieces. I've got the front wheel, the back wheel, the frame part, the handlebar and the plate. The first thing I'll do is attach the handlebar to the front wheel. The round part goes towards the bottom of the inner wheel and it slopes up like that towards the back of the mudguard. So in like that, I stitch right around there to keep it flat. So I'll do that and I'll be back. The next thing I'll do is attach the frame, this part up here, to the handlebar, just under where it bends. So in about there, I attach it across there and then bend it back. Now I'll attach this red part to the top of the frame. So about there, and then the frame part will bend back over, but I'll just attach the red part now. Next I stitch the frame across the back wheel just like that, just across there and then back around. The last thing I do is attach this plate in behind the wheel, the frame and the seat, just in there, and I stitch it around the back. So I'll stitch that down and I'll be back to show you the finished bike. And there's the finished motorbike. If you've liked my video, please like, subscribe and share. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest and Twitter. The details are in the description below, along with the details of my website, where I have my patterns, the details of my Facebook group and the details of my Patreon. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.